It's time to pick a side. The border war is on the air with PG and Tanner. All right, welcome into the border war. We are going to be covering the NBA Finals games 1 and 2 for the next few minutes. Obviously, last week's show, Tan Man, we said that we both agreed that the Cavs needed to win Game 1 of this thing. They maybe should have won it. They did not.
They definitely should have won it. Game 1 was an amazing effort by the King. What did he drop? 51 in that game.
51 points.
If you would have bet me a Beacon dinner going into Game 1 that they would either LeBron James would score 51 and they would still lose, or 2, that they would even be in a position to win the ball game at the end, I think I would have lost both of those bets. And unbelievably, both of those things happened.
I mean, when you say that LeBron scored 51 points, that they were in a position to win, and then they lost, that tells you everything you need to know about that. I've seen 2 people on social media say, I mean, you see this every year. You know this is going 7 games. No, it's not.
No, this is not.
I told you before the series started, the over-under on number of games for this series was 5. And it's sad, but that's where we are.
Well, look, in Game 1,
let's just talk about that.
In Game 1, we all know what happened. George Hill at the free throw line.
I think everybody but J.R. Smith knows what happened. I still think he may be a little fuzzy on what went down.
The days go on, you start hearing guys explain kind of what they thought happened. I'll be honest, I think we've been too hard on J.R. Smith. When I start hearing
we
guys,
certainly haven't been too soft.
No. But when you start hearing guys like Tim Legler and all these guys who played the game and start giving you explanations for how they think you could lose track of the time and the score in that moment, I can kind of see it. And I told a buddy the other day, I said, I've been in arenas where I've sworn up and down for like 5 minutes that the score on the scoreboard is wrong, because I'm watching the game, I look at a scoreboard, somebody scores, and you catch it at a different time. That's
awesome.
Giannis Antetokounmpo just tried a corn dog for the first time,
and he loves it.
It's amazing. But I've been in those spots where I've looked at the scoreboard and maybe caught it wrong and thought the score was something other than what it really was. I guess I could. I'm going to give JR a little bit of a pass. I'm going to ease off on.
Hey, man, what have I said about basketball scoring for years? How should we keep the score?
Your stupid idea about going backwards or something.
No, it's not going backwards. Point differential. If you're a player on the court, man, forget the score. Know whether you're losing by 2, whether you're winning by 2, whether the score is tied. It doesn't matter what the score is. You know the game is tied.
But no, that's
not asking too much.
No, it's not, and I don't think it's asking too much that a guy that's making $20 million, whatever it is he makes, you're playing in the NBA Finals.
And we're not talking about the middle of the second quarter. The game was down to it. The game was down to it. That is when you know you have to pay attention. Look, if there's a game where you lose track of this stuff, maybe it's baseball. You see that sometimes, right, where guys forget that it's 2 strikes. Or the guy the other day for the Braves
he tries to walk on
3 balls. That stuff happens because there's so much sort of mental downtime to forget. But basketball, the stakes are too high with the game moving the way it is. When you're inside of 2 minutes, you just flat out have to know. There's a scoreboard on both ends of the court.
Yeah, I tell you, in Game 1, they had an opportunity to win. I feel like that, much like the Toronto-Cleveland series, where you said before that series, if they don't get Game 1, they have no chance. You knew when that thing goes to overtime.
Oh, yeah.
That's a wrap.
And here's the thing.
That's a wrap.
Whether or not we're being too hard on J.R. Smith, he absolutely cost them any chance they had to win this series. And I'll be honest with you, even if they had won that game, I still don't think they had much of a chance to win this series. But
I don't either, but I think it makes it a little more interesting.
It made it more interesting. And if they had a chance, they had to win the first one. Because you said it last time, how fragile of an ego does this Cleveland team have? Well, I think you saw it in Game 2.
Well, in Game 2, watching
much more
it,
pedestrian effort.
I mean, it almost felt like Cleveland was playing not to lose the game. Like, we just don't want to lose by 40, because every time they would make a little run, they would cut it from 15 to 9, and I think they got it to 6 some late in the ball game. Never, at least I didn't feel like Golden State was ever in any jeopardy of not winning that ball game. And then, of course, Steph Curry goes off in the fourth quarter, and bada bing, bada boom, last one out the door, cut the lights off and lock up. This one's over.
Man, not to take anything away from his game, but I'm just so tired of Steph Curry. I'm tired of watching him shoot the shot from the tunnel.
Did you see some of those shots he made in that game?
And then I'm tired of watching him get down in a three-point stance and run a sprint. And I'm tired of grown men who probably are making six-figure salaries enable this clown by acting like... I'm just tired of it.
Listen, when you can make the threes that he was making the other night, the one with the shot clock running down to 0 from almost the logo at half court, the other one from the corner. I mean, my goodness, if you can make those shots, you can shimmy and dance and shoot from the tunnel. You could do all that you want. I got no problem with it.
I disagree. He should stop.
I got no problem with it.
He should have a problem with the fact that I have a problem with it.
And I tell you, Cleveland, I don't know if this is just like the super worst matchup ever in the history of the world. How does Kevin Love keep getting matched up on Steph Curry?
And
every time Steph Curry needs a basket.
Why does he keep screaming at him? What is that picture, man? I've seen like 20 versions of over games. He runs up to him and it's not working, Kevin.
Every time Steph Curry needs a basket, they run a play, they set a screen, then they get out of the way, and then you look around and Kevin Love is like, oh, God, I'm out here by myself.
And I hate to say it, but you know what's even worse than that is that's the only time you see Kevin Love.
Well, in game in game 2 he gave you 22 points.
But that's the problem.
But his defense is just so bad, and there's nobody on Golden State he can guard.
But listen, that's when he scores 22 points. He scores 22 points in the games where his 22 points don't matter.
Well, it's not that they don't matter. It's just his defense is. There's literally nobody on Golden State that he can guard.
You'll see that his points didn't matter.
Nobody wants to look at point differential.
That's all that matters. That's how you win and lose.
It's nonsense.
I'm not wrong.
Okay, you're alone.
Well, you know what? Geniuses often are in their own time.
Except for me. I think we agree that the J.R. Smith
we don't agree on
gaffe cost the Cavs any chance to win this series.
Okay, we agree on that.
I guess the other argument,
and let's be fair, they didn't have much of it. They had a 5% chance anyway.
It cost them a chance to be competitive in this series. Yes. I think they're going to get Game 3. I think they're going to come home. They're going to run some things to get Korver some open shots because he's been non-existent. Jordan Clarkson has been terrible. Rodney Hood is all of a sudden not even playing.
Can we agree on this too, though? This Golden State team, they're okay. I mean, like they don't look like the Golden State team.
The killer instinct.
Klay Thompson had 3 fouls again in Game 1 within 6 minutes. This is not that team.
I said last year, they were the evil villains. They had won 73 the year before.
Right.
They added Kevin Durant. All of a sudden, they went from, the lovable guys to like the most hated team in the league, right? So they had this killer. We're just going to prove it. We're going to stick it to everybody. Last year, it felt like
everybody in the country had gotten sick of them. Now it sort of seems like they might be sick of themselves.
Like I said, the killer instinct that desire to just stomp you out isn't there.
Do you think that?
And even then, they're still way better than everybody else.
That's what I was going to say. Is it the addition of Kevin Durant to this team that they actually internally realize now that if we just go out there and play a game, we're going to win out of 7?
Let's be honest. They played with Cleveland in Game 2. They toyed with, to me, that's my opinion. I think they toyed with the Cavs in Game 2.
They looked bored.
Exactly.
They looked bored.
Exactly. But the other flip side of the J.R. Smith question that is kind of spun out, are we being a little too hard on LeBron?
I think we should get a prize. We just went 7 minutes and talked about the series and didn't talk about LeBron. National media is not capable.
Well,
of that.
no.
We have skills.
Yeah. I saw one of the questions out there. Are we being too hard on LeBron?
Give me an example of what you mean.
All right, well, I guess just
before I can answer.
I guess just the visual frustration. There were some folks questioning his. Is that the way to show leadership?
Well,
they caught the camera in the huddle. With him being visibly frustrated with his coach Ty Lue, with the team around him at the end of regulation in Game 1.
Yes and no. I mean, here's the thing. When you say, we talked about this before the show, when you say he's frustrated with Ty Lue, well, that's his coach. He picked that guy. If Ty Lue doesn't know how many timeouts you have left, you picked Ty Lue. You had a coach, you ran him off. Okay, at least the way it was reported in the media. Now, the other thing about it, though, is guys like me and you, it's hard for us to judge LeBron because we're not like LeBron. The guys that are as successful as him, they're not going to stomach mediocrity. Whereas you and me, we're probably like, you know what,
that's
JR,
good enough,
it happens, man. It happens. Don't worry about it.
That's what I often tell folks around me. It's good enough.
I've often told my wife that's actually what I want on my gravestone. He was good enough.
I'm going to get it tattooed on my back. Just across the back of my shoulders. Good enough.
But no, I think you have to be careful judging LeBron for his competitiveness. It's amazing to me that he's still feeling competitive. Because he's fighting with two legs tied together and one arm tied behind his back, man. And he's still swinging. So I give him credit for that.
Oh, there's no doubt. And we've talked about it. Hey, he's carrying this bunch. I think you brought up two different questions.
I don't even think he's carrying them anymore. I think he's left them behind, and now he's just doing by
whatever.
himself.
I think you kind of brought up two different questions about him. This being his coach, and this is his team. He built this team. Really, the only move that he admits to is going to him and saying no to the Kyrie Irving trade, and he got overruled. But this team is guys that he signed off on and brought in because they're not trading anybody or bringing anybody in without his okay. Do I feel bad for him that he's in this situation? No, because I've said all along, he's done this to himself. If he's got a bum coach, he did it to himself. If he's got a bum supporting cast, he did that to himself. But I also don't think it's fair to question his leadership or question why he's getting frustrated or why he's showing that frustration on the sidelines when what do you want the man to do? What do you want the man to do? His only opportunity to win this series, and J.R. Smith is dribbling around the backcourt. I mean,
right? No, that's the thing.
No. At
what point
it's
is
not
it just
fair.
so absurd that you can't be
now
mature about it? Right?
Now.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
It's here.
I'm sort of asking that question to the people that say, I mean. And we know this, man. He's done up there. He's just done.
Well, so some of the national talking heads don't think so. I mean, I wish I had it brought up, but I read one article where it started kind of going through the different places and the number of places that he would really fit in, and that would. I mean, it's not a lot. I mean, to me, it's Houston or Cleveland. That's it.
Okay,
but that's. Because like I said, I don't think Philly or LA or anything like that. To me, it's Houston or Cleveland. And I think it was 2015. He was amazing. Kyrie Irving gets hurt in Game 1. LeBron's amazing. His next best player in that series is Matthew Dellavedova. I said he should have gotten the Finals MVP that year when they lost. There's some talk out there now about the should he be in the discussion for Finals MVP this year. What's your take on an MVP coming from a losing team like that? Take LeBron out of it to start with.
It's a bigger discussion, and we have it all the time. What does MVP mean? Does it mean what it says it means? Or is it something else? Valuable, I think, has to come from a winning team. I just do.
I think it depends. If you go back and look
we've
at
also said LeBron should get it every year.
He should get the season MVP every year because he's the best player.
Well, I think we know what they would look like without him. 35 wins?
I really thought that he should have gotten it on the losing effort that year when they lost in 6. The first go-around with Golden State. Because, like I said, when Matthew Dellavedova is your next best player,
right,
and you're even in the discussion of this thing being a series,
right,
man, that's you. He scored like 40 points every game of the year, and they gave it to Iguodala. If it weren't for Steph Curry,
who Golden State literally doesn't need at all. Let me just add that.
Well, they could do without one of those guys and still win the NBA title.
They are doing without him. That's what I'm saying. I mean, now I know it's not this season, but I'm just saying Iguodala getting MVP and then you blow them out.
Oh, I was talking about the big four. They could do without one of those guys.
Oh, sure.
But Curry, if he wasn't doing what he's doing in this series, I think if we continue on this pace, Curry winning it is a lock. But LeBron's not going to get nearly as much for winning it on a losing team as he should, in my opinion.
Well, I get what you're saying. I just think it's a weird precedent.
It is.
You're not going to have, because if he wins it in a losing effort, and I mean, let's be honest, are we talking about him losing it if they get swept? I mean, him winning it if they lose it in 5. They're not going to lose it in. It's going to be 5 or 4, man.
I don't think you could give it to him. I don't think you could justify giving it to him if they got swept. I think you would have a really hard time giving it to him if they lost in 5. If somehow they pushed it to 6 and they lost in 6, and he continues doing what he's doing, I think he's played all but like 7 minutes this series. Then if they lose in 6, then I think that LeBron for MVP should get some real consideration.
LeBron's entire legacy has become a difficult thing to really get a handle on. It's hard to say what is actually happening with his legacy. My personal opinion is that 30 years from now, people are going to look back and wonder why they were so worried about what his pants looked like and why we didn't appreciate his basketball a little bit more. But, I mean, we get wrapped up in some odd stuff when it comes to LeBron James.
The Jump, before we finish up real quick, the Jump had an interesting topic on this afternoon where they were debating on whether or not this series actually helps LeBron's legacy as far as hurts it.
I'm pretty sure we both made that point that could happen last week on this show. No one expects him to win this. Nobody.
Yeah.
But he is obviously the best player on the court. If you think Steph Curry is a better player than LeBron James, find another show to listen to. Don't really.
Please don't. Listen to this show. Please.
Please.
Listen.